It's Friday, and that is synonym with research projects within the Agricultural Research Council. This week, we are visiting the Soil, Water and Climate Campus in Arcadia. Then stay tuned for an insert from Whole Concepts. They showcase the benefits of the EasyWean Nosering. But first, I'll be back shortly with the news.
Elanco, we are driven by our vision of food and companionship enriching life.
And in the news, 2 ostriches owned by PJ de Blanche and Sons were recently sold for record prices at the Western Cape Department of Agriculture's 19th annual ostrich auction. The male and female pair fetched 26,000 and 41,000 rand respectively. Male ostriches from the Oudtshoorn Research Farm fetched an average price of 9,996 and the females an average price of 21,630. The new umbrella body for the South African wine and brandy industry, EasyWean, recently appointed Vinpro's MD Rico Basson as its new CEO. The announcement was made during its inaugural board meeting. The founding members of EasyWean appointed 5 producer directors and 5 brand owner directors to serve on the board. They are Antoinette Vermoten, Anton Smits, Boyce Lloyd, Saki de Toy, James Reed, Mohsin Musa, Philip Retief, Ridal Jefta, Vivian Kleinhans and Wessel de Wet. Ronald Ramabulana was appointed as an independent board member and elected as chairperson of the board. Egypt is experiencing a booming citrus export season with volumes surpassing last year's figures. According to a report by Fresh Plaza, this has meant significant financial benefits for the country in terms of foreign currency, with exports drawing closer to the $1 billion mark every year. The country is projected to surpass the 2 million tonne mark by the end of the season, making the citrus industry an important source of foreign currency for Egypt. And that's today's news.
Hello, I'm Nwabisa Masekwana. I'm a researcher at the ARC NRE, which stands for Natural Resources and Engineering. I work under the Water Sciences section, where we do projects on water research, water quality. We also work on wetlands and peatlands. And I am currently involved in WEF projects, which is Water, Energy and Food Nexus. It's actually a developing science whereby we're looking at the integrations between the 3 sectors of water, energy and food under the agricultural sciences, particularly for crop production, which is our core research here at the ARC. So my projects are currently running in Mpumalanga, where I'm looking at what is allocated at water allocation, at water access, and also at water availability. So the same as for energy as well. Is there enough energy? Which sector is it allocated to? And also, do people have access to it? Then in terms of food, I look at food production. What is the food produced for? For example, a province like Mpumalanga, you might say, is food secure, but they produce food for export purposes, meaning that the people in that province do not actually have access to the food. And then also, what resources are made available for that food production? Is there enough water for the food production? Is there enough electricity for the food production. That is what I'm actually doing my research in, but I'm also involved in other projects where we're looking at water quality in wetlands and water that is being availed for crop production. Fortunately, just recently we've had Wetlands Day on the 2nd of February. So that's where we actually teach people and also just the local communities and also children on how to conserve wetlands, because they actually are part of our freshwater resources that bring us water. We know that there is very limited fresh water available all over the world. So one of the things that we need to do is actually to conserve wetlands, that is to keep them clean, to make sure that they're not polluted, and to also not change the dynamics. That is, if you see in the communities now, you'll find that with the recent flooding, a lot of people actually build in wetlands or in floodplains. And then now when the rain comes, as it did just now, then the water actually goes back, follows the original pathways that they actually followed. So if people can actually listen to advisors and scientists which tell them where the floodplains are, which tell them where the wetlands are, then we will not have the dangers of the floods that we actually just had recently. And also to conserve the biodiversity that's there, the frogs, the birds, and also the plants that you actually find in the wetlands that are got various uses. They actually even trap the pollutants from the dirty water, but you can also use them to make bags and all other things. There's actually nothing useless that you will find in a wetland.
Goeiedag, pryse van rooi vleis het redelik gemeng vertoon in week 16 van die jaar. BSA2 karkaspryse het met 0.1% gedaal, terwyl die C2 prys met 0.6% gestyg het, maar die speenkalfprys met 1.6 goedkoper geword het. Skaapvleis het A2 lamkarkasse se prys met 1.4% gedaal, terwyl die C2's ook 2.8% duurder geword het en die speenlamprys 0.4% opgedaal het. Varkvleis het redelik konstant gebly, na is 0.6% duurder as die vorige week. Die afgelope week se wolveiling het die skoon gesertifiseerde wolprys met 1.6% gestyg vanaf die vorige veiling, terwyl die bokhaarprys met 1.4% gedaal het vanaf die vorige veiling. Wat die graanmarkte aanbetref, het die geelmielietprys effens kop opgetel na 'n paar weke se dalings, 2.3% sterker as verlede week. Die koringprys het egter met 1.5% gedaal. Sojaboonprys is 1.2% sterker, sonneblomprys 2.2% goedkoper, terwyl hoedsaring se prys die styging voortgesit het en 1.1% duurder is as die vorige week. Wisselkoerse aanbetref, het die randveld verloor teenoor die vernaamste wisselkoerse, 1.3% swakker teenoor die dollar en 2.2% swakker teenoor die euro.
My name is Pierre Verkuil, farm in the Northwest Province, and have been at it for the last 50 years. We have a mixed farming business where we have a philosophy of expansion as well as incremental improvement. In the cattle farming section of our business, we have a breeding herd, we have backgrounding, and we have a feedlot. Well, the result is we measure as much as we can to see if we can improve in an incremental manner every year. Now, the traditional way of weaning involves that you take the calves away from the cows. Being farmers, the well-being of our animals as well as the economic side of beef production is very important. If you want animals to produce to their genetic potential, you've got to have happy animals too. Now, to do that, as far as the weaning system is concerned, is very important. Because in the traditional way of doing things, you would take away the calves from the cows, you'll have to transport them somewhere else, and you'll have bawling calves and you'll have unhappy cows, and this also influences production as well as weight gain on the weaner side. And as far as the cows are concerned, it also has an impact on what the cow's condition is going to be at the next calving. To do the small things to have incremental improvement, you have to look at these things and start measuring. Now, EasyWean Nosering came into being about 26 years ago. We started using EasyWean Noserings in those days to see whether this is going to improve our production and whether we'll have a less of a weaning shock where you have then weight loss for a certain period of time. So we started implementing it. It makes it so much easier. Now, we've noticed over time that we can compare it because we don't feed only our own calves. We also buy calves from auctions and sales and out of hand from other farmers where we usually have to buy them on the day they get weaned. In other words, we get very unhappy calves with stress with them at the transport, at the farm where they have to be processed and then to go to the backgrounding section of our business. And this has a definite impact on the weight gain for at least the next 3 weeks to 4 weeks to adapt to the new conditions. And then over and above that, you also have a greater possibility of picking up some diseases that because of the stress that the animals are under. Now, as farmers, we're all very aware of the welfare of our animals. The way that animals are weaned makes a very big difference. Now, our experience is that if we wean animals with EasyWean Noserings, we find that we can even wean them a bit earlier. By the time we take them away to take them to the background section, we don't have bawling calves. They've already been weaned. The cows are not under stress. We don't have broken fences. We don't have animals running around where we have to find them at the neighbors or anywhere else because of the panic and the stress that they are under. So from an economic point of view, it's really a plus. It's a big plus. We have found that EasyWean Nosering is the best product. They pioneered the nosering, and I don't think we will ever go back to the traditional way of weaning animals. I believe that we are moving forward, and this definitely makes a big impact on incremental improvement of the farming business.
Controle vir Fortuner. Julle trek ongekende terrein, hoor?
Hoor jou controle? Ontdek het.
Kom in Fortuner, rove terrein op pad. Activeer 4x4.
Ontvang, geluid voor actie.
Missie voltooi, papa.
Die splinternuwe Toyota Fortuner.
Controle, daar's 'n probleem.
Gee jou verbeelding die luksheid van vryheid.